Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Leasing Highway Season 2, presented by the Apartment Association of Metro Denver. Uh, they have the chili cook-off coming this month, so definitely sign up for that if you haven't already. And uh, I'm Ian Andrews.
And I'm Karen Gladney, super excited to be here with you today, sharing the heartbeat of the industry and voices of the industry. And today's amazing guest is Tamera Greene, regional with Watermark Residential. And Tamera, you are definitely part of my story in the industry. And if we can, I'll share a little story later about you. But why don't we start with you sharing your story and background about how you got into the industry and where you are today?
Well, thank you so much for having me on this podcast. And you have no idea. This is such an honor, and I'm just humbled. And so, how I got into the industry, it was by a mistake or just, it was 23 years ago. I know that's, sharing a little bit about how old I am, but 20 plus years ago in Colorado Springs, I was going through a divorce. My son was 3 years old, and I walked into this apartment in Colorado Springs looking for somewhere to live after my divorce. And I walked into this particular property, and there was no one in the leasing office. I waited for about 10 minutes, and finally this young lady comes out frantic, looking just frazzled. And, I looked around and I said, it looks like you need some help here, a poor thing. And she's like, yeah, I do. And so I was, pivoting from one industry to the next. And I applied for this position as a leasing consultant. And the day that I started, the regional manager gave me the keys and said, your whole team has walked off. You don't have maintenance. You don't have leasing. So you were the manager. Good luck. And 23 years later, here I am.
Oh my gosh. That's a scary moment when you've just started to be like, here you go.
Yes, I knew nothing about the industry. But you know what? In that moment, I learned so much, and it's taught me lessons that I still take with me today.
I'm sure, yeah. Pretty much had to learn how to do every role, right? Right away.
Yes. In the morning I was the manager, then I was, plumbing a toilet in the afternoon, and
Hey, baptism by fire, right?
Leasing apartment. So
well, and you've worked with some amazing companies too, right? Over the years, Tamera?
I have, and I've been so fortunate that through this journey, being in the industry, that I've worked with some amazing, companies. And so each company has taught me so much. The one thing that I can take away from working for so many companies is they've all taught me ownership. Is to, I kind of live my life as the world is my stage, and so they taught me leadership and ownership. To take ownership of your position, take ownership of this multi-million-dollar asset. And I think that has carried out through all of the properties I've managed, through all the companies, is that they expect you to be the CEO, and to think outside of the box. And when no one's around, they want to know that you're making the best decisions for their asset, and that they don't have to worry about it from day to day, whether you're a good leader or not. And so I try to instill that in my teams in each property and company that I've worked for.
That's awesome. With having worked for so many great, strong cultured companies, I'm curious just who have been some of your mentors along the way?
Believe it or not, I have not had a mentor. And so though no one has been directly my mentor in the industry or outside of the industry, what I've learned is that I've taken bits and pieces from people that I've worked with. And little did they know at that point they were mentoring me, whether they knew it or not. They were an inspiration. These people have taught me what to do and also what not to do. And so, it's about the good, the bad, the ugly, right? And so, I think so many people have shaped and molded me even more so, my employees have been my mentors, have been the best mentors to me, because just seeing them in their true element has taught me so much. It's humbled me and has allowed me to look at everyone in both sides, in everyone's shoes. I have to be in everyone's shoes to understand where everyone's coming from.
I think that's such a great point, Tamera, too, to realize that you can learn from everyone that's around you. And I know you've been so entrenched in every part of the industry, and you do really, just watching you pull from everyone. And I think that's a gift too, to learn from every experience. Like you said, sometimes you learn what not to do, right?
Yes.
In those situations. So when you think about some of those situations, what are, from those, non-mentorship, but what are some of the things that you have learned or learned not to do that you really have carried with you?
What I've learned is not to be afraid to ask questions that you don't know. And I think so many times that when people are in leadership positions, that they feel like they have to know everything. And so that is not a good leader. A good leader to me, pulls from all facets, from all different people, not just one sector, but, I pull from people from my church. I pull from people from, my family. My husband is my biggest, mentor. And so what I've learned is, don't be afraid to ask. And if whoever looks at you in a strange way and asks you why you're asking that question, then that problem relies with them because they're questionable in their leadership, and they're not standing strong in their leadership, and probably that's maybe not the person to receive the information from, and maybe go a different direction.
Those are good tidbits for all of us to keep tucked away in our souls and to remember. Tamera, I know you are incredibly passionate about the leasing experience itself. How has your opinion changed or evolved on how to deliver that experience over the years? I mean, you've seen a lot in this time period, and so just curious, how has your opinion or vision changed?
Well, I think my vision has not changed. It's always been the tried and true, and it's to be yourself and deliver the best customer service possible. I think we've been so fortunate through the years that our industry has evolved in so many ways. There's so many platforms, there's so many apps, there's so many, it's just I'm amazed at how our industry has evolved. But at the end of the day, it's about the person. People, we all are selling the same thing, right? There are four walls with amenities, and my amenities at my property may be a little bit different than another amenities across the street or what have you. But at the end of the day, it's about people. It's connecting. It's about relating to that person and understanding what they need. And you can do that through conversation. I know, it's all about meeting those benchmarks, asking, what's the name, what's this phone number, email address, and contact. But if you are not talking to that person and meeting them where they are, then, we hold people's lives in our hands. I always tell my teams, like, you hold the core of who they are, their heart, their what they're going through. You never know who's walking through that door and what their story is. All people have stories, and you don't know if they could have had a parent or a friend that has been in a car crash, or they're going through a divorce, or they received terrible information. They were fired that morning, but today they walked in your office, and we have the opportunity to change their lives and change that, whatever's in that 45 minutes, 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And so at the end of the day, it's customer service. I know we've all, you've been in the industry, both of you, and we can walk in today to various communities. And because we have great product out there, that we have relied on just the product itself, selling itself. But I think we've tend to stray away from just being authentic and selling ourselves as human beings first, and making sure that we're meeting the needs of what people are concerned about. And that's feeling comfortable that when they move in, that you, Karen, Tamera, Ian, are providing them with the best customer service and that they're being taken care of no matter what's going on in their lives.
Yeah, and you were the prime example of that, right? When you happened and lucked into this industry, and it's so true. Even on the flip side, somebody could have just gotten engaged, but that can be stressful too, right? And just that warm smile from our teams can make all the difference.
Yes.
Yeah, I think too, it's just like a good reminder that of why we are in this industry is just to make people's lives better, and this is such a huge transitional moment when, and life event when people are changing into, homes. And while it's still just four walls, it's a huge part of their lives, and there's technology that has, come into this industry, but really it's, looking at it from the point of view of how can we use this to strengthen, that bond and make this an easier experience for everyone that's going through this. So I love what you said there. Let's take a quick break here, and then we'll be back with some more questions on the other side here.
Sure.
Welcome to your beautiful new apartment home here at Gables Point 14. As you can see, we're featuring this beautiful one-bedroom den.
Welcome back, everybody. We're back with Tamera. Tamera, you talked a little bit earlier about leadership. It's something that's always fascinating to me. And you hear some people have philosophies of leading by fear, and some people have philosophies of leading through encouragement. Some people say, oh, well, that's a soft style or that's a hard style. Talk a little bit, expand on it a little bit more about how you view leadership and leading your teams.
Well, I'd probably say I'm the best cheerleader ever. And so that's probably my style is cheering people on and being a part of the process. I truly believe that you cannot expect your teams to do what you ask them to do if you have never been in their shoes or you're not there in the trenches with them. And so when I was on site, I made sure that if I asked my team, during the lease up and we had 20 some move-ins and we had 20 some trucks coming in the next day, move-in trucks and we had to do a sparkle cleaning and the apartments weren't cleaned. I was in there cleaning with them. I was in there mopping. I was, I wanted to be a part of the team, not just because I was the leader, but I just thought it was the right thing to do. That's just how I was taught from my parents is that, your word is your bond. I know it's an old term and it's a matter of if you give someone your word, then follow through with it. And so I walk and work alongside of my team members versus this hierarchy of being, saying I'm the leader, so this is what I expect from you. I believe it's like a marriage, it's a relationship. And so in order for it to work, the two parties have to agree to bonds to have each other's back. And as long as you do that, then your team members will be there for you and they will excel.
Well, I had the gift of working with you, and you were my manager going all the way back to Coyote Ranch. And Jennifer was with us, and what a time, and I can tell you just what's neat to me is hearing you talk right now. It was no different 20 years ago for you. I mean, you've embodied that philosophy since day one, and it's neat that it's carried through the years for you. And also in reaching out to people who've worked with you leading up to this. Oh my gosh, Tamera, I wish you could have been a fly on the wall. Because the praise was, you're just so highly regarded, and I want you to know that.
Well, thank you so much. And I don't know how to quite respond to that. Because
You
a
don't.
lot of those people, yes, go ahead, Ian. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say,
one thing that we're always doing here too is listening to all this sports talk radio, and it just always reminds me, because they always talk about, every player, especially in football, is looking for that player's coach. And I think it's just I was just thinking that through everything you were saying, it relates to really every business of, like, if people want to work with somebody who understands what they're going through and understands and can be put in those shoes. So what you said is just, I think, resonates like in all industries, and just really creating that connection and understanding is just so important. So love what you said there. And for this next question, I'm curious, as you reflect back across some of the moments that I guess as you reflect back, what are some of those moments that stand out as whether highlights or turning points in your career?
Well, most definitely the turning point was day one, right? So when my regional manager gave me the keys and told me, that you're the manager, that was the turning point of my career, and also pivotal for me as I was going through a tumultuous time in my life. And so at that moment, I took the bull by the horn and said, this is it. Either it's going to make me or it's going to break me. And so I chosen that it was going to make me. I go back to the old biblical verse, God doesn't give you something that will kill you, right? What makes you, whatever you go through makes you stronger. And so I felt at that moment that I was entitled and also given a gift to, number one, provide for my son and I at that time, but also make a career and make a change in my life that would impact others. And so that most definitely was a turning point in my life. As far as highlights, the biggest highlights in my life is that all the people that I've worked for, all the people that worked for me, when I see them advance in their career, there's so many people that there are too many to mention, but to know that I was a part of their life, even if it was a moment, a snippet of time, and they've moved on in their career and their life, their babies, their kids, just marriages, parents, marriage, just everything. That is a highlight to me every day. And I know that I have a little wrinkle or tapestry, a string in their in their blanket of life that I was there in whatever capacity. And so I think that would probably be my epitaph as well, is that I was probably, if I can be a little wrinkle, a little blip in someone's life, and they can look over and I can make them smile then. But I think I've done my job. My journey on this earth was somewhat purposeful.
Well, you've certainly had a wrinkle and a impact on mine, and I have to tell this story now. So Tamera is like, she comes across and she is, hyper professional, like so, and knows her stuff. But you talk about taking the bull by the horns. I mean, you do, Tamera. You are all into these assets and our industry. But what's so fun is I think it was about 2 weeks in, maybe it was a week. And I feel like it was the first lease I had gotten at our property. And Tamera, my manager, she's so professional and dressed to the nines, bust out in the Roger Rabbit. And Tamera, from that day forward, and you told me, you were like, you got to have a leasing dance, girl. From that day forward, that joy that you brought to me that day and our whole team always, I wanted to, that was it. Leasing dances were part of the culture from that day forward on. And you are the epitome of knowing how to get done, get stuff done at work and bringing that fun. I mean, what's your philosophy? How do you make that happen in such a good parallel.
Well, exactly what you said, Karen. You can't take yourself too seriously. And so I believe at the end of the day, we are tasked with so many responsibilities, and it seems like the more technology that comes our way, and and as we've evolved, that we're in meetings more, we're traveling more, and so what I realize is that at the end of the day, you just gotta let loose and don't take life too seriously. I believe, do the best that you can in that 8 to 10 hour work period day, but leave it. And then guess what? It's going to be there to greet you in the morning. There's nothing that is so devastating that if you walk away from it, if you did what you did in that day, that can be picked up the next day. And that's how I live my life. But ultimately is don't take yourself too seriously. And if it has to be a smile, if it has to be a dance, if it has to be a song, whatever that makes you happy to get through those tough times, that's what creates a good environment. And that's when that's how I am today. That's how I've always been, is that it light, easy breezy. And I want people to feel happy when they come to work, and not feel like it's something jarring when they put on their clothes every morning. We all have to work for a reason, right? Some people don't, but most of us do. And so the last thing you want to do is wake up in the morning and drive. Some people commute for miles and hours and stay in traffic forever in a day. And the last thing you want to know is when you walk through that threshold of that door is that the people that I work with, and you've got to do this, kind of computerized recalibration of how do I deal with this person? What's going to happen? And so, your work team is your family. And if that doesn't match, then gosh, what do you have?
So true. So true. Well, I'll always remember the Roger Rabbit. And on that note, we'll take a quick break and come back with some fun personal questions for Tamera on the other side.
Yes.
Introducing Remote Lock Universal Access Control. Remote Lock lets you manage any lock, from smart locks to hardwired access control systems, securing every door from the main entrance to the rooftop patio. And you get to choose from the best top-of-the-line smart locks out there, from brands like Yale, Schlage, Kwikset, August, Mercury, and many more. Now you can configure and add access at the push of a button and set up customized schedules for each and every user, all within a matter of minutes. It even works with property management and booking software like Airbnb, Guesty, Entrata, RealPage, and more. With Remote Lock, you'll finally have a future-proof solution that controls all your properties around the world from a single, easy-to-use platform. Let Remote Lock be the last access control partner you'll ever need.
Welcome back. Excited to dive into some more personal questions here. Let's start off with what do you like to do to decompress?
There's a couple of things. So I love music. I love to read, and I love to walk. And so I do all three of those at the same time, right? And so when I'm faced with, complexities of the day, or have to make tough decisions, or I've had a tough day, I go for a walk. I unplug, I go for a walk, but then I plug in my AirPods, and I usually listen to an Audible while I walk, or it's music. I have music all the time while I'm working. I have music when I get off of work, and and it's always usual jazz or classical music, or Broadway, because if I wasn't in leasing or in the apartment industry, I would be on Broadway. That would be my career. So those are the three things.
Those are good. Here's one for you. What is your hidden talent, or something no one may know about you, Ms. Tamera?
Well, lately it's not so much a hidden talent, but when I was in college or in high school, I sang opera. And so I sang in opera when I was in college in the chamber orchestra. And so yeah. I don't know if it's hidden. I've started to share that information with people, but I love opera.
That is so cool. Like, is it out on TikTok or?
Oh no,
posted
oh
it?
no. That's how hidden it is. I said I used to sing.
I think we gotta break you out at the board retreat. Open up that opera can.
Yeah.
For this next section, we're going to do our rapid fire section here again, and just kind of throw a whole bunch of quick questions to you and see what you like. So let's start with sneakers or heels.
Well, heels, of course. Everyone knows me for heels. Even though I ran track in high school and college, but the heels.
I feel like you could probably run track in heels yourself.
I could do the 50-yard dash.
See, there's a hidden talent.
In about, less than 10 seconds. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Fruit or candy?
My mom wouldn't be happy, but candy, because I have a sweet tooth. But she used to put fruit on my desk when I come home from school. My dad would slip a Snickers underneath my pillow. So
Wine or beer?
Wine. What was that? I'm sorry.
I think we lost Ian. Surf or ski?
Ski, since I live in ski country here in Colorado.
Book or movie? Oh, you already said it, really.
Book, but I love a good movie that jugs at your heart so you can get a good cry.
Yeah. And how about grits or hash browns?
Oh, I'm from the South, from North Carolina, so you have to have some Southern grits.
Yes. Now tell me about this. Do you like your grits sweet? Do you like them with cheese? Do you like them with shrimp or plain?
Oh, I love grits with butter. But as of lately, I was in Indy a week ago, and there's this restaurant, 101 Beer Tavern, and they have the most amazing shrimp and grits. So that's my go-to now.
A good shrimp and grits is so good, but you can't pass up some nice Southern plain grits too.
Yeah.
And I feel like we should have put one in here too. Treehouse or tent, because I know you booked a treehouse recently.
I have, and I shared the story with you too. My husband and I love doing, Airbnbs are different. And so we were lucky to find out, and it's weird. I have not found, I told you I was going to send you this link of this treehouse up in Breckenridge, but I did find another one that you would appreciate. It's in Carbondale. It's cute. So treehouse, of course.
That just sounds idyllic.
Yes.
And Ian, do we have you back now?
Yep.
I think you should ask my walk-off home run question.
Yeah, absolutely. What advice would you give someone just starting out in the industry?
Well, first of all, don't be afraid to fail, because in every job that you start off that you know nothing about, there's going to be a moment of when you fall down. And so you just have to get back up and dust yourself off. I think take it easy. I think the climate that we're living in today is so quick paced and fast paced, and things are just moving at milliseconds. And I think it's take it easy. Take time to learn. Take time to embrace what you're learning. Hone your craft, and don't be afraid to ask questions. And and if you're willing to stick in there, it's a great industry. Give it some time. There's so much to offer, and it's more than just, the Vanna White and showing the apartment and saying, here's your apartment. It's so much more than that.
So true. So true. Tamera, we have ended the show. We're up on time, and it was such an honor to have you on, and so equally so for us, as you let out the show saying, and we really genuinely appreciate you being on here today.
And I appreciate both of you. You're doing such a great thing. And I also appreciate, I have to put in a plug for Watermark Residential, which we're rebranding to Thompson Thrift Residential by the end of the year. So thank you to them for allowing me to be on this platform. And thank you to the Apartment Association of Metro Denver.
Wonderful.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great Tuesday. Bye.